1944, we were in the middle of World War II, and while that was going on, Popular Mechanics was writing articles on how to make a crossbow out of a leaf spring and some scrap wood. Last week I was writing a blog and making a video on the use of crossbows and how they're kind of overtaking the use of compounds in modern day bow hunting. And in the middle of that research, I found a website called vintageprojects.com. And the reason I found that article so interesting was because I just so happened to have a crossbow that fit the exact description of the bow made in those plans. This was given to me by my grandpa a few years before he passed away. It's a hand sanded and carved stock. You can see carved in the hand grip here, foregrip here. It's a leaf spring, sanded and filed down to work as the limb. He riveted on some limb tips to hold the string. String is homemade. Metal inlays in the rail so it has something to glide on. The trigger mechanism is handmade. Trigger is hand ground as well. So it was kind of a neat sentimental thing for me to come across the plans. I wasn't sure if he made this as a one-off or if he'd read about it in a book. He was big into that, and evidently he did, or he read about it in that magazine article. And this was the exact bow that they have in this plan. The cocking lever is also part of the plan, and basically the way this works is these hooks wrap on the limb here, the wood rests on the string, and then you just pull this down and it guides that string all the way down to this cocking mechanism. And when the string runs into this, it just pops it back. You could hear that trigger pop. And then when you pull the trigger, it allows that to release. The string takes off and you've got a projectile now. So very simple design, but also took some skill to create this thing. I've shot it one time and it didn't go well. I was not smart with how I shot it, and I used a modern crossbow bolt, and they have a moon knock. There's no clip on this to hold that bolt so that the contact with the knock stays. And basically I dry fired the bow. The bolt went shooting off to the side and hit the side of the shed. Luckily the structural integrity is okay because it's a spring steel limb, so it's not likely to break. I may try to shoot it again and get an actual clip knock, but there's just not much guide in this thing, and I am a little bit nervous about it. I don't want to blow this thing up or break anything on it. I'd rather just hang it up as a conversation piece before I damage it or myself. However, if I decide to give it a try and things go well, I would really like to take this out and try to shoot a deer with it here in Illinois. It's legal, and the compound hunters that are trashing crossbows surely wouldn't have a problem with this. If you can't hit the bullseye with a regular archer's bow and arrow, try one of these modern crossbows and you'll find yourself hitting the gold almost every time from distances up to 60 yards. They are good for hunting too. A 160-pound steel bow will stop anything short of an elephant. Probably would take an elephant too. Two models are described in this story, both very similar in construction, except that one has a wood bow and the other a steel bow. So there you go, guys. I mean, it's going to give you a full breakdown here. Stock for the wood bow can be made from white pine, very much like a modern rifle. Here's your differences in bows. The all wood bow has an all plastic action, a white pine stock. And the steel bow has an all metal action and a walnut stock. Weighs around 4¼ pounds, draws 110 pounds, maximum range of 250 yards, effective at 60. Penetration into a white pine, 1¼ inches. Length of the stock, 28½. Length of the bow, 23 inches. Here you can see the cocking lever being used. I mean, this is exactly the same thing as the one I have, so this plan was followed to a T. Here's some more of the instructions for the wood bow. And here's the steel bow. Compact and powerful. Metal is obtained from a light automobile spring, which is sawed with high-speed steel hacksaw blade to the shape shown above. Oh, and here's those plastic tips. And a file knock to take string. Here's how the string is made. 6-cord flax thread with a 4-inch center serving. The spring stock can be obtained from a light automobile leaf spring. It will cost you 2 high-speed steel hacksaw blades to saw it to shape. If the spring is a little wider than needed, it's a good idea to leave the extra metal intact at the center. The bow tips are cut from sheet plastic, riveted in place, and filed to take the string. The steel bow will have an initial fixed set of about 2-inch deflection. It should be braced at 3.5 deflection. A 100 to 160 pound bow is recommended. Extremely heavy bows over 300 pounds drawing weight make nice exhibition pieces for flight or penetration shooting, but are no fun to shoot as you seldom retrieve the arrow intact, if at all. See, that's what I'm saying is my little snafu with the dry fire is evidently not a big deal because they're expecting you to blow arrows up in the bow. The strings for the wood bows can be purchased or made from 6-cord flax thread. 12 threads will hold wood bows to 80 pounds. The string for a 23-inch steel bow is made on a simple wooden form. In this case, the string is divided into equal parts to make the loops. Both loops and a distance of 4-inch at center are wrapped, and the completed string is waxed with beeswax. All parts of the action must be metal and carefully made and fitted so they will withstand the strong pressure of the steel bow. And that's where they recommend the hardwood here. Stock for a steel bow. Because of the heavier drawing weight, the stock for a steel bow must be made from walnut or other hard, strong wood. And the action must be metal and carefully made and fitted so they will withstand the strong pressure of the steel bow. All metal parts are of ample strength for bows up to 400 pounds draw weight. Lordy! Somebody make one of those with a truck leaf spring. Let me know how that goes. Okay guys, and this is where my situation went wrong. So on this bow, there's no room for a vane either. So they're showing you to put these vanes on a flat plane here and then the cock vane straight up because there's no slot for the vane in the rail of the bow. And then the knock is a split knock. Made from 5/16" birch dowel. The vanes are cut from celluloid and are fitted into the grooves cut in the shaft. Okay. So maybe I need to make some arrows. After cocking the bow, the crossbow is shot very much like a shotgun, sighting down the arrow to the target. A little practice will enable you to judge the range and drop of an arrow very nicely. When hunting, the bow can be carried cocked but without arrow. When not in use, the steel bow is left braced, but the wood bow is unstrung. Needless to say, any bow over 100 pounds packs a terrific drive, and the utmost caution should be exercised in its use. Never fit an arrow in place until you're ready to shoot, and don't point the gun in any other direction than toward the target when the arrow is in place. And that's it. Their next article was ways you can preserve linseed oil putty. But anyways, guys, again, I just thought this was neat, so I will link these plans in the description of this video, and if somebody wants to make it, here you go. And if you know someone who already has one of these and has shot it or has much experience with it, let me know. I'd be interested in reading about it or watching a video about it. Again, I'm not sure if I'm going to make bolts and try to shoot this thing again because it was quite sketchy. And even within this article, they mention how sketchy it is like 20 times. So I'm probably going to use it as a conversation piece and hang it up in the shop. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you found that entertaining. I know the vintage compound videos have done pretty well, so I thought a vintage crossbow video would do well also. Again, you can read about this on Essential Outdoorsman, and that is where I will continue to post things related to outdoor activities and some of the cool things that I find. Appreciate it.
Lilacs in the